Hello to Solutions with Lane. I'm Lane. I'm a hypnotist here to teach you about manifestation as awareness and not through effort. If you are interested in working together one-on-one, check out the Dropbox below for all of my services. I do have a brand new free mini course. It's called Awareness Reset. It teaches you everything in the foundation of how to manifest from the present moment with no effort at all. And I also just launched, by the time that you are watching this video, it will be up on my website. I launched another mini course called Detachment in 24 Hours. Stop obsessing over your specific person. Now, I'm going to have more of these courses, mini courses, being released throughout the month of October. I did a community post sharing what dates everything's going to be released and what's going to be included. Now, each one of these mini courses does have a workbook and a meditation along with each one of the video modules. And all of them are going to be under $35 because honestly, there's no reason for any course to be more than that. So, let's dive into the actual video. Now, I don't really have a topic. I think that this is going to be more of a rant video just because I've been seeing a lot of comments, especially on TikTok. It doesn't really happen so much that I'm noticing on YouTube, but on TikTok, everyone is so desperate, begging for help, but not actually taking any steps to receive that help, which I get it, right? So Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about the pain body. And the pain body, all of that it is pretty much the character in suffering and how that character, no matter how much it tries to tell you, it wants change, it wants what it desires, it really doesn't. It wants to continue to suffer. It won't even really allow you to take action on improving anything until you reach a point to where you are so fed up, you are so done suffering that finally you let go of that character enough, that pain body enough to finally start applying the information instead of just bouncing around from video to video, coach to coach, book to book, trying to find the answer. Finally, you'll start applying some of it and not being so dependent on different coaches and different videos, etc. So the pain body will always keep you away from actually achieving your manifestations because the whole point of it, the whole reason why it does that is so it can stay alive, right? And you can say your pain body is pretty much the ego, right? The ego wants to stay alive. The ego is not the bad guy here. The ego is just a embodiment of different beliefs, different identities that you continue to identify with and give life to. So with that being said, if you're one of those people that as soon as you feel anxious or as soon as you start doubting yourself, you run to a coach, you run to a video and start watching their content. And then instantly you might feel, oh, well, I feel a little bit better. Yeah, no, that made sense. And then literally an hour later, you're doing the same thing, or a day later, you're doing the same thing and not actually applying whatever is being taught. Now, let's not go to say that there are some coaches out there that you're not going to find the relief, right? Just because of the level of consciousness that they're at. They're still teaching things like self-concept, affirmations, and there's easier ways to go about this to where you can have faster relief. So, and it doesn't take long. Like the reason why I created that course of Detachment 24 Hours is because you can do it at 24 hours once you start practicing presence. And that brings me into the next point, right? So, with presence, the way that you are able to embody or break free from that pain body is by going into the present moment. It has no life there. So it will actually try to distract you from going there because obviously it wants to stay alive. So say when you're meditating, not that you have to meditate, but this is just an example. When you're meditating, you'll notice that all of a sudden your nose itches. All of a sudden, your cat is scratching at the door. All of a sudden, you remember that you have to go send this email or take the trash out because it's garbage night or whatever. All of a sudden, you'll be bombarded with all of these things that distract you from going into the present moment. And the reason why that's happening is because of the pain body. It knows that you're starting to stray away from it, so it wants to pull you back in because that's all that it knows. But you as source can disidentify from that. And that's all that we're doing here when you are remembering who you truly are. It's not that you're trying to change the ego or let the ego die or even change the character. Those things, naturally happen once you, again, remember who you truly are, that you are none of the characters. You're not the ego. You're not the thoughts. You're not the feelings. You're not the experiences. You are source itself, animating all of it, giving life, breathing life into all of it. I know that might seem hard to comprehend, but it's the truth. It's the truth, and it's even in the Bible, even though it might not be conveyed that way, right? Religion doesn't want you to know your truth. It wants control. So as Benim Zealand says, it's about the pendulums. Religion is a pendulum. If you haven't listened to or read the book Reality Transurfing, definitely a good book when it comes to understanding of being pulled in by experiences, by the pain body, etc. He just uses different words. He does have some limitations, so don't take what he says, kind of like have discernment, right? But anyways, really good book. But the pain body itself wants to do whatever to stay alive. So when you are practicing presence and you are knowing who you are as source, it's going to try to pull you in through opposite experiences, unraveling in your 3D reality with thoughts that you haven't even thought about, but it's worst case scenario type thoughts, feelings coming up and different feelings of like anxiousness and just being very uncomfortable in your body. All of these things are trying to pull you back into the pain body so it can stay alive. But it's your job to continue to remember your source. You don't have to give power to any of those things. You just ride the wave. Remembering, and I say this in other videos, remembering that you are the sky, the emotions, experiences, and the thoughts are clouds and weather just passing by. The sky just holds space for these things and let them drift. But if as the sky were to try to take a cloud and hold it in one position, one state, or if you had a storm and nope, it's only going to rain right here, that's it, then that is you giving into the pain body. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're holding onto things that we're not supposed to. And that's why we continue to suffer. Because these things were supposed to be like the ebbs and flows, right? It's supposed to come and go, but we've been holding on to our trauma, our stories, the character, our identification with different things, the experiences and how they hurt us and that specific person broke our heart. We hold on to these things, identify with them, and then wonder why we're suffering. Well, it's because the stories of the character of that ego wants us to suffer. That's the whole point of it. So as source, we take our awareness off of these things. We allow them to be there, not trying to change them, not trying to fix them, not trying to reprogram or do anything in the 3D reality. We are literally just going to live. Right? Now, what does that mean? Live. Be present. Focus on your breath if something were to come up. If it's a thought, a feeling, an experience. We just focus on our breath. Maybe you can focus on your surroundings. Maybe it's a beautiful sight that you're looking at. Maybe it's a sound that you can hear that you can fixate on. So like a lot of people do this with meditation of looking at a flame. Nostradamus, actually, that's how he would get into the astral realm, would be looking at flames as they dance. It would be like, it would meditate. He would go into meditation. It would relax his mind. Other people listen to the sound of a fan, right? Because it's a constant. So they can zone out on that. Again, it doesn't matter what you zone out on. It's just about being present in this moment. You can focus on your body. A lot of people focus on their hands, focus on their heart, listening to the beat of their heart, the sensations. And by doing this, it allows you to take your attention off of whatever the pain body is trying to distract you with. And it allows you to detach from the stories that are keeping this reality alive. The unwanted stories keeping this reality alive. Okay? So that's all that we really have to do. It's that simple. For one, recognize your source animating it all. If there's anything that the pain body or anything that the character, it doesn't matter the label that you give it, but anything that is not your ideal, so if it's a thought, a feeling, an experience, take your attention off of it, right? Attention is focused awareness. That's all that it is. So take your attention off of it and put it on yourself, put it on your surroundings, put it on the present moment. And then that takes the power away from those thoughts, those emotions, those experiences. You remember who you are as source, and then things naturally just begin to change. Because the only reason why you're experiencing what you're experiencing is because of your attention to it. You are literally focused attention is awareness. So you are literally creating more awareness, more to be aware of what you don't want. The stories and your attachment to the stories is why more of the unwanted is being created. So if you take your attention off the unwanted stories, guess what happens? Everything naturally shifts. Because your higher self, that source self, already knows what your desire is. That's why it even gave it to the human you. Make sense? So as soon as you stop holding on to the stories that you were never supposed to hold on to begin with or identify with to begin with, because source doesn't do that. The character does that. Someone who doesn't know that they are source animating it all does that. The unconscious mind, is the one that does that. The person that thinks that you are your mind is the one that does that. And when we do that, that's why we experience that. But as soon as you stop identifying, then everything can flow and unfold naturally to where your desires just naturally unfold for you. Because you're no longer having the barriers in front of you, blocking it. Not that anything's ever really being blocked, but you can't perceive it. Because you have these stories as like different, it's kind of like, you want to know what I'm thinking of right now? You have a window in front of you. And in front of that window, like on the other side of that window, is all of your desires. But if you're holding on to the stories, you're literally taking the blinds and the curtains and closing everything up. You literally can't perceive it. What's on the other side in the beauty of that window. Literally can't. Can't allow anything in because the window's locked. Does that make sense? So as soon as you stop identifying with the stories, you're opening and being in the present moment, you're opening up the blinds, you're starting to let some sunlight in, right? And then you're opening up the curtains. And then at some point, you'll open up the window and get the fresh air. You'll actually start seeing what is on the other side. All of the desires just naturally being right in front of you. That's how that works. And it's so simple. We overcomplicated it. I did for many years, right? And things start manifesting so effortlessly, so easily, and so quickly. Not by affirming, not by visualizing, or what any of the greats have said in the past. You don't even have to. So I highly suggest going and read Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. That's one of the books that has completely changed the game for me. And any, non-duality books, because that's kind of what it's teaching you, oneness. There is no separation. The reason why God is omnipresence is because you as God is everywhere. You're the trees, the birds, the sun, you're everything in your reality. And for anybody else's reality, which we'll go into a deeper video on this, but in anyone else's reality, again, it's the same. So God is literally everywhere. It's part of everyone and everything. And you get to be that God. That's why you get to choose your experiences of what you do want. But the way to do that is finally drop the story. Okay? So I think I've ranted enough. for not having a topic. I think that this was pretty good. But if you do me a favor, is subscribe and like this video. It doesn't cost you anything, right? It's just helpful to me. If you do subscribe, make sure that you leave a comment. That way, I can say hello to you and actually get to know my new subscribers, because it doesn't notify me when you get subscribed. Also, if you have any questions, comment them down below. I always get to answer each one of you. I really make it a goal of mine to answer every single one of you. And again, if you want to work together or check out any one of the mini courses or check out the dates of the next releases of the mini courses, there is a community post that you can look at that, and obviously just check out the website. But on that note, guys, I think that you got this. I think it's that it's going to be okay. All right. So on that note, as awareness, you got this.